Have you ever felt an inexplicable tingling in your spine, as if a gentle electric current were rising from your pelvis to your head? Or maybe a warmth in your chest, a lump in your throat, a pressure on your forehead? And what if those symptoms weren't random? What if they weren't illnesses, but sacred messages? We live in a world that interprets everything through logic, through what is visible, through what can be measured. But there are other planes, other realities. And in those planes, the body is not just a biological instrument. It is an oracle, a bridge, a living temple that expresses what the soul cannot yet put into words. Many people going through a spiritual awakening begin to feel physical changes, palpitations, with no medical cause, sudden insomnia, light tremors, pressure in the head, raw emotions, or an intense need to isolate. And when they visit doctors, they often hear everything is fine, but they know it's not, or rather they know everything is changing. Because in a true spiritual awakening, the soul doesn't just transform the mind or emotions, it alters the body's vibration. When your consciousness rises, your energy shifts. And when your energy shifts, your body must adapt. This is the part few people talk about. Spiritual awakening is also a physical process, sometimes confusing, but profoundly revealing. In this video, we'll decode these physical signals, not from a medical or superstitious perspective, but from an ancestral and esoteric one. We'll walk through the hidden map of the spiritual body and discover how it signals that your soul has begun to rise. I'll reveal the most common signs, what they mean, how to recognize if you're undergoing a deep awakening, and above all, how to honor that process without fear. Because you are not failing, you are not sick, you are being reborn. This is not just another video about spirituality. It's an initiatory guide, a torch in the tunnel, for those who feel in their skin what their soul already knows. Something inside me is awakening, and my body is announcing it. Get ready to connect the pieces, to understand what you're feeling, and to discover that your body has always been the instrument of divine consciousness. Since time immemorial, ancient cultures understood something modern science is only beginning to glimpse. The body is not separate from the spirit. It is, in fact, its first language, its mirror, its messenger. In the worldview of ancient Egypt, the human being was seen as a microcosm, a living replica of the universe. The physical body wasn't understood as separate from the soul, Ba, or divine spirit, Ka, but as their sacred dwelling. When internal energy shifted, whether through spiritual evolution or cosmic imbalance, the body displayed visible signs, tremors, trances, warmth in the limbs, visions. For them, these were not pathologies. They were initiatory signs. The body was reacting to contact with higher dimensions. In ancient India, the wise rishis described, through the system of yoga and the chakras, an energetic network that runs throughout the body, which they called nadis. According to this tradition, when the kundalini, the dormant energy at the base of the spine, begins to rise, it activates energy centers that directly impact the physical body. How? Through symptoms like heat, pressure in the head, palpitations, spontaneous tears, or inner visions. This was interpreted as a natural process of spiritual awakening. Taoism, for its part, speaks to us of qi, the vital force. In internal alchemy practices, the adept mobilizes this energy through breathing techniques, visualizations, and internal exercises. And in doing so, they report sensations that go beyond the physical, ringing in the ears, vibrations in the organs, tremors, or even states of bodily ecstasy without external stimulation. The body literally becomes a laboratory of the spirit. In Judeo-Christian esotericism, the body has also been seen as a temple. In the Zohar, a foundational text of Kabbalah, it is said that each part of the body corresponds to a sephirah, a divine emanation, with a person aligned spiritually. Those sephirot are activated and the body experiences everything from tremors to unexplained expansions of joy. The biblical prophets did not merely hear God, they trembled, cried, and fell into trances. Their bodies were impacted by the energy of the sacred. All these traditions agree on one central point. The physical body, does not only reflect disease, it also reflects awakening. Today, in a world dominated by logic and analysis, we have reduced the body to a biological machine. But ancient wisdom reminds us that it is also an instrument of the divine. And when the soul begins to rise, the body responds. That pressure in your brow is not just a discomfort, it may be the Ajna chakra, the center of spiritual vision opening. That fire in your abdomen is not just indigestion, it could be your personal power center calling for attention. That inexplicable fatigue is not always due to lack of sleep. It may be energetic integration. The body reacts because it is being recalibrated. It is ceasing to function on the old frequency in order to adapt to a higher vibration. And that is something you can feel. What the ancients knew, and we are now remembering, is that every true awakening is holistic. You don't just think differently, you feel differently. And that feeling includes the flesh, the bones, the organs. Because when the soul expands, the body trembles along with it. When a seed breaks through the earth to sprout, it does so with effort, with pressure, with inner force. The same happens with the soul that begins to awaken. It's not a clean or linear process. It's deep, sometimes chaotic, and almost always disorienting. And the first thing to transform is the most tangible, the body. Many people expect spiritual awakening to arrive in the form of absolute peace. But the truth is, it often begins with symptoms, not just mental or emotional ones, but physical. The body becomes the stage upon which this invisible process unfolds. Let's look at some of the most common and deeply symbolic signs that appear when the soul begins to open its eyes. First, palpitations without any apparent physical cause. One of the first signs is feeling your heart pounding during moments of calm, as if something inside you knows that something is about to happen. This phenomenon is not just anxiety. In many traditions, the heart is the first organ to tune into the divine. When you begin to open to a new frequency of consciousness, the heart responds. It beats more intensely because it is announcing something. You are crossing a threshold. Second, a sensation of pressure in the forehead or brow. Many people report a peculiar feeling in the brow area, like a lightweight tingling or persistent pressure. Energetically, this area corresponds to the third eye or Ajna chakra, the center of intuition and subtle vision. When your soul starts to see beyond the surface, this center becomes active. It's as if a spiritual antenna begins to rise, and naturally, that creates a physical sensation. Third, heat or fire in the lower back or spine. This symptom is deeply connected to the activation of Kundalini energy. Even if it's not fully awakened, the stirring of this sacred energy is felt as a rising heat. The spine, seen in many traditions as the axis through which consciousness ascends, begins to function as a channel. And that warmth is the spiritual fire beginning to move. Fourth, changes in sleep, insomnia, or waking at specific hours. During spiritual awakening, it's common to wake up around 3 or 4 a.m. In many cultures, this time is known as the hour of the soul, or the time when the veils between worlds are thinnest. It's not clinical insomnia. It's the soul calling you when the world is asleep so you can listen without distractions. The opposite can also happen. Deep sleep filled with symbolic dreams, visions or messages. Fifth, unexplained fatigue or heightened sensitivity. When your energy system is recalibrating, the body uses a lot of energy to restructure itself. You are transitioning from an old version of yourself to a new one, and that requires vitality. Moreover, as you open to a more acute perception, everything intensifies, sounds become more irritating, crowds more exhausting, heavy foods more disturbing. It's not fragility, it's spiritual fine-tuning. These physical signals are not system failures. They are the body's responses to a rising consciousness. Just like a child's fever can signal a growth spurt, these symptoms indicate that something in you is growing, awakening, rising. The most common mistake is to fear these changes or try to suppress them. But if you view them through an esoteric lens, you'll see they're not obstacles, they're sacred passages. The body is not breaking down, the body is revealing. And what it reveals is that your soul has begun to move. Spiritual awakening does not just erupt in the mind with existential questions or in the heart with deep longing. It also manifests in the most intimate and tangible territories, your skin, your bones, your senses. Because when the soul decides to emerge, the entire body becomes its resonance chamber. We've already explored some common physical signs. Now let's dive deeper into other, more subtle and often more perplexing manifestations. Signs that, if not understood from a spiritual perspective, can be misinterpreted as meaningless imbalances. But if you look through the eye of the soul, you'll see they are all moving codes. One, the changes in the digestive system, the second brain in recalibration. Many people experience digestive disturbances during awakening, nausea, appetite changes, or intolerance to certain foods. Why? Because the digestive system is more than a physical processor. It's also an energetic center, where we process emotionally and spiritually what we swallow from life. When the soul begins to awaken, it can no longer tolerate what it once accepted without question. Heavy foods, toxic environments, self-deception. That's why the stomach becomes more sensitive. The body is telling you, I can no longer digest what is not authentic. 2. Heightened senses. The body is a spiritual radar. Spiritual awakening refines the senses, not by making them stronger, but by tuning them to different frequencies. Suddenly you hear nature more clearly. Artificial noise becomes irritating. Colors appear more vivid. Your skin reacts to other people's energy. This isn't psychological, it's vibrational. As your soul opens, your energetic field expands, and the senses adjust to perceive what was once imperceptible. You become less numb, but much more aware. 3. Involuntary movement or spasms during meditation or sleep. A little understood sign is the appearance of involuntary movements during states of rest. Sleep or meditation, jerks in arms or legs, tremors, spontaneous deep breaths. These reactions may seem random, but they are actually energy discharges or energetic blockages being released. In Eastern traditions, it's explained that as the body tunes to new frequencies, it releases built-up tension or reconfigures the flow of chi or prana. It's as if the energy, when encountering blocked paths, breaks through them with natural impulses. Again, it's not malfunction, it's reconnection. 4. Emotional intensification without external cause. During awakening, you may experience extreme emotions, crying for no reason, sudden joy, deep melancholy, or unexpected peace. What's happening? Simple, stagnant emotional energy is surfacing. These aren't new emotions, but old ones that your now awakened soul can no longer store. Just as a wound needs to bleed to heal, consciousness needs to feel in order to be freed. Don't be alarmed if you laugh and cry on the same day. The soul is purging. You are being cleansed from the inside out. 5. The need to be alone or to distance yourself from certain places or people. Your body no longer wants to be where your soul doesn't belong. It feels discomfort in certain environments, unease with some people, or simply a strong desire for silence, solitude, and nature. This is natural. You are beginning to resonate with a new frequency, and anything that doesn't align with it will feel out of place, because it no longer vibrates with you. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. You're leaving behind an old version of yourself. These signs don't mean something is wrong with you. They mean everything is beginning to fall into place. The body speaks when the soul moves, and every symptom, every discomfort, every sensitivity is a clue, a sacred echo of transformation. Spiritual awakening is not just an inner experience, it's a total revolution. And the body is the drum that sets its rhythm. A spiritual awakening is not just about mystical experiences or transcendental revelations. It is also a radical act of conscious embodiment. The soul does not awaken to abandon you, but to inhabit you more fully. And it is in that dance, between the ethereal and the tangible, between the cosmic and the corporeal, where many get lost if they lack solid practices to anchor the experience. At this stage of the process, intellectual understanding is not enough. The body is being restructured by higher frequencies and requires care, attention, and guidance. These suggestions are not just healthy habits. They are living rituals that will help you sustain your awakening process without it becoming overwhelming or disconnected. First suggestion: create a daily grounding ritual. When the soul awakens, it is common to feel out of the body with a floating head, cold feet, a sense of disconnection from the material world. That's why it's essential to anchor your energy. You can do this with simple practices: walking barefoot on the earth, touching trees, taking deep breaths while visualizing roots growing from your feet. This act, which may seem symbolic, has a profound impact on your energetic field. You're telling your body, yes, we are rising, but we're still here. The spirit needs solid ground to manifest. Second suggestion: honor your symptoms as messages, not mistakes. Modern medicine has taught you to silence discomfort, but on the spiritual path, symptoms are doors, not enemies. If you feel pressure in your head, don't rush to suppress it. Instead, breathe, pay attention, meditate in silence. Ask, what part of me is being activated? If insomnia appears, rather than forcing yourself to sleep, allow that wakeful moment to become a space for contemplation or spiritual writing. Often, the soul chooses the night to speak when the noise of the world has faded. Third suggestion: purify your physical channel. The body needs to be a clear channel to hold higher frequencies. This doesn't mean fanaticism or extreme asceticism, but a loving commitment to inner cleanliness. Drink pure water consciously. Eat living foods that don't dull your energy. Practice gentle fasting if you feel cold. Purification is not punishment, it is attunement. You lighten the load so the soul can descend with greater freedom. Fourth suggestion: listen to your internal rhythm, not the world's. During a spiritual awakening, your energy may no longer follow conventional patterns. You might not feel like socializing. You may crave silence, stillness, or non-productivity. The system will tell you that you're being unproductive, but your soul is asking for recalibration. Allow yourself that retreat. The hermit does not isolate to escape, he does it to hear what cannot be heard in the noise. If you can reduce external commitments, learn to say no. Trust in the value of your own unique rhythm. No one but you knows the dance of your spirit. Fifth suggestion: create a journal of signs and dreams. Your body is speaking, but so are your dreams, your intuitions, your symbols. Create a journal to record everything you experience. Palpitations, visions, repeated phrases, unexplained sensations. Over time, that notebook will become the secret map of your transformation. You don't need an external guru. The message is within you. You only need sustained attention, like someone listening to a forgotten language until it becomes familiar again. To embody a spiritual awakening is not about enduring. It's about collaborating, about offering the soul a worthy, clean, receptive home. Don't rush it. Don't judge it. Don't deny it. Honor the body as the altar where the divine wishes to dwell. And then each tremor, each emotion, each symptom will cease to frighten you and begin to feel like a blessing. We've walked together along a deep and often overlooked path, the body as the sacred stage of spiritual awakening. It's no coincidence that so many people are feeling symptoms that have no medical explanation or relief in traditional medicine. It's not weakness. It's not illness. It's the soul raising its vibration and the body trying to keep up. The most common mistake in awakening processes is to believe that spiritual growth happens up there, far from the body, floating in elevated planes or abstract dimensions. But true awakening is not an escape from matter, it is illumination from within it. And in that sacred alchemy, your body is not an obstacle. It is the chalice, the grail that holds the energy of your transformation. Your skin, your organs, your senses are being refined by a more subtle, wiser, and more loving energy. The ringing in your ears, the pressure on your forehead, the fire in your back, these are all hymns of a new birth. But there is something even deeper you must understand. The soul does not awaken suddenly. It awakens when you are ready to listen. And that readiness begins when you stop fearing what you feel and start decoding the language of your body. Are you trembling? Maybe you are releasing ancient memories. Do you cry without reason? Perhaps your heart is draining centuries of repression. Can't sleep? Your soul may be calling you to speak in the stillness. Everything you feel makes sense, even if the world tells you otherwise. Here is the great secret. There is no awakening without the body, and there is no body that is not a vehicle of spirit if you honor it as such. So now that you know you are not alone, that your symptoms are not strange but meaningful signs, I invite you to walk this path with reverence, with patience, with depth. Breathe, listen, feel, honor each transformation as a right, because that's what it is. And if this message resonated with you, if you felt something light up inside, if something finally made sense, if a forgotten truth was remembered, then subscribe to this channel. Leave a like to help spread this wisdom, and share this video with those who are also feeling, but don't know why. Because when one person awakens, their light illuminates the path for many. This is your body, this is your soul, and this is your moment. The temple is alive and you are already inside.